Is there a doctor in the house? Good man. First of all, I want to welcome everybody here tonight. My name is Joe Ring, and I suppose you could say I'm Dave Kelly's best man for the night. Dave and Pat are absolutely thrilled to have you all here tonight, and so am I. Because 2 weeks ago, I sat in Des Kelly's kitchen licking 860 plus envelopes. And if you weren't here tonight, by Jesus, you'd be in trouble with me. And by the way, looking around, I can't believe you're all looking so young, fit and fresh. Now, I only started wearing glasses lately, so either my glasses are telling lies, or Des Kelly put the lottery on Botox before he retired.
This evening is about gratitude and appreciation. Gratitude to Des for his kindness, and appreciation for his professionalism as a GP in Westport for the past 40 years. First on Peter Street and later on the Mall, where he treated the people of Westport with assurance and common good sense.
But I'm sad old weary days and weeping all the nights. If it weren't for wanton poverty from my native land I know, by the blessed sun, 'tis royally I would sing thy praise, Mayo.
Success in his retirement. I know this for years, and I know the family, and Liam proved that he was such a good doctor. I'm here tonight. Talking about the doctor, there was this young fella, and he was annoying the father. The father was reading the paper, and the father got fed up. Now he says, I want to read the paper, he says, and you ask me one question more, and then you have to go to bed. And says the young fella, he says, supposing a doctor got sick and another doctor doctored him. Would the doctor do the doctor on the doctor? Doctor the doctor, the way the doctor being doctor wanted to be doctor, or would the doctor do the doctor in his own way?
The shamrock and heather, in search of a living, as exiles we've grown. And whenever we chance to assemble together, we think of our land, where each one had no home. That's your cue, 3, 4. La 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 la.
You. If it was put down to just 3, they would be generous, humble, and passionate. Now, the next one is humble. When we were going to have this party tonight, and that was down to Sheila and a few patients who went in and said, look, we need to say goodbye to Des. The man said, oh Jesus, he said, who would this day have gone too long, he said, who would bother going to a party for me? But Des Kelly, you look around and you see who wants to go to a party for you. And when it comes to passion, Jesus, when it comes to passion, Des Kelly has no equal. But the one thing, Des, about your passion was, you weren't only passionate about your hobbies, you were passionate about your patients, you were passionate about your work. You never stopped learning. There wasn't a day that went by you weren't learning something. And Des and Pat are under the table now, so will somebody please pull them out? Patients and friends, you can all take a seat in the waiting room now. It's lovely to be here and see so many familiar faces from the past 41 years. And I'd like to thank you for your support, your friendship and affection over 41 years. I'd like to thank other people that have come here as well as the patients, and the patients that couldn't make it tonight. Toastmasters, Winter Carna Martin, and Wilgary, that was Group of Kiol, that was Craig, and extended family and friends. When an accident hit me 10 months ago, I knew immediately that my practice was finished. And I hated the thought of retirement, because I loved to practice, and I loved work, I loved the chase and the challenge, and I loved the characters that came in with stories and all of that. But I was banjaxed, and that was it. And for 2 months after, it was like a bereavement. People always ask me, are you enjoying your retirement? And I tell them, not half as much as I enjoy the work. Now, I started in Peter Street in 1970 on the 3rd of February. First day, I had one patient. She's here tonight. Second day, no patient. Third day, one patient. And then it took off. But I had no phone. I didn't get a phone for 6 weeks. That's what the times were like then. And I was on call 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And very often you could be waiting, and then we brought in hours after 3 years, from 10 in the morning to 8 in the evening. But many's the dinner you didn't get till 9:30, and the dinner would be burnt until my mother-in-law gave us a microwave, and that saved the marriage. Now, when I started on Peter Street, I thought I was the bee's knees. When I came back from Canada and the States, but this fella came in to me one morning and he sorted me out good and proper. He knocked on the door, I had no secretary at the time, and he said, "Is there many in the waiting room?" And I said, "There's nobody in the waiting room and there's nobody in the surgery." His face dropped and he said, "Ah, I come back again," he says. He was coming for the crack in the waiting room. And that I really learned about this. I was only the excuse. Now, in case I got it wrong, there were two ladies who lived 3 doors up. And they'd be peeping out behind the curtains. And they'd wait until the waiting room was full. And they'd come down for the crack as well.
calls, there were a lot of calls at that time, travelled enormous areas, from Ballycroy, Dublin, Bundara, Halinan, Tourmakeedy, as far as Brafey. Now, over the last 40 years, there are a lot of changes. Heart attacks were extremely common 40 years ago, and it got much less with awareness of cholesterol, cigarettes, and all that. Measles, 1 every 3 years died in Mayo, and they were very sick. Meningitis, 12 a year. They're all gone with the vaccines. So all these diseases have changed and great improvement. Orthopedic replacements, the waiting lists could be awful long. I remember setting an appointment for a young boy in Peter Street, and he was in the national school, and he was married with 2 kids when he was called. Other changes were the ultrasound, the scans, the MRIs, and computer in the practice, which I started in 1980. I think we were the first computerized practice west of the Channel. It was all down to a great man who's here tonight, Seamus McDonagh, who wrote the code for the practice. Now, not all, once we got the rotas in, I had the hobbies of sailing, skiing, and set dancing. And I remember one night going up to Hogan's pub at the back, which is where the music used to be. And this fella came over and he joined my table. And he says, Kelly, I don't go to you at all. He says, I go to another man down the road. And I was into him for a checkup. And he took my history, weighed me, took my blood pressure, and he took blood through my cholesterol, and he examined my lungs and my chest and the whole lot, and asked me about my drinking and my smoking. And he said, when you'd taken the lot, come back in a week for the results. So I went back a few days ago, he said, and I went in and I said, how are things? Well, he said, I have some good news and bad news. Well, Doc, he says, will you ever tell me the bad news first? Well, he said, you're 4 stone overweight. You're smoking 60 cigarettes a day. You're drinking 20 pints a day. And he said your blood pressure through the roof and your sugar, cholesterol. Oh, your man was, the face was dropping. He said, Doc, he says, will you ever tell me the good news? And he said, you won't have to worry about a pension. Now, over the years, people ask me what have emotionally affected me the most, and this is a series of it. And it has to be young deaths. There were a few. And a chronic one, young death from leukemia or chronic heart. I remember going into these houses, and it could be very, very heart-rending. A chronic illness in a young person going on for years. And I found going into these houses that these were the happiest houses I could visit. They seemed to grow, get an inner strength from their cross. And you'd always get the tea and the buns. In my house you'd be lucky to get a biscuit. And then the elderly dying. In the early days there was no hospice nurse, no hospice. To the local nurse and the GP had to see the patient in their last months. On the lighter side, I had great characters coming in with great stories. And I used, most of you don't know this, but I had a bottle of poaching in the surgery. And special people, there's a few of them here tonight, I would pour a treble of the poaching at 10 o'clock in the morning. And they might have a second one as well. And there was a lady or two who would have a drop. And I tell you, when they were going out of the surgery, there was a great lift to their step.